the Yolanda and Cornelius show. But y'all, I have a treat today. You're wondering why I'm so exuberant and I have this voice of jubilation because I am with the illustrious. I am with the renowned. I am with the superb, the spectacular, the stupendous. I am with Dr. One of these days, Royal Todd from Louisville, Kentucky, the lively, shively, as we say. He's here with me live in studio, future podcaster, future broadcaster, future pastor par excellence. We are speaking all of those things into his existence. We say good afternoon to you, Mr. Royal Todd. Welcome to the YAC The Yolanda and Cornelius show.
Oh man, I am so excited to be here. It is my life's joy to be here with you, Pastor Hill.
Doc, I'm here, man.
Pastor Hill with your podcast hat on today.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm just excited. Thank you so much for that warm and welcoming introduction. I hope to be half of the man that you described one day. But it is so exciting to be here.
Keep talking, Reverend.
Really get into this area since I just moved down here to Nashville and get into some good conversation. Praise the Lord.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Mr. Royal Todd. First of all, tell us what brought you to Nashville.
Okay, well, what brought me to Nashville is the Divinity School program at Vanderbilt University. And so I completed my Bachelor's of Arts in Philosophy at the University of Kentucky. And then I moved right down here to start my MDiv at Vanderbilt.
Man, y'all hear that? He's a Wildcat, so we give him the SEC pass.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. He's from the Bluegrass State. He's from Louisville, Kentucky, where they run those horses. Hallelujah. So I need to experience the Derby through you.
Okay.
As a native.
Okay.
It's one thing to go.
It is.
But I need to experience it through a native Louisvillian.
Well, see, the Derby, what I love about the Derby, what I've always loved about the Derby, unfortunately, is not the Derby itself.
That's right. All the other activities.
It's the festivities
right.
that lead up to the Derby. And so you have of course the chow wagon and the parades and all of the things that are going down at the waterfront leading up to the Derby. And then of course you got everybody and then cousins on the grill. You got all of the good food, the stuff that's you're gonna feel it in your arteries for the next few weeks. You got that kind of food. And so that's what I look forward to. Just the culture that the Derby brings for sure.
Well, listen, Mr. Royal, he blessed me, y'all. Sunday he came and was able to be, able to be a witness of the pastoral celebration at the Ephesian Church on Sunday. We're grateful for that. Let me pause and say this. You can watch us via Facebook, my Facebook page. You can watch us via YouTube right now, my YouTube page, and you can watch us via Twitter. So we are live, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Cornelius Hill, Cornelius A. Hill, Hill Cornelius. So Cornelius A. Hill, Facebook, Cornelius Hill, YouTube, Hill Cornelius, Twitter. We are on live. You can call in 615-242-7760. That's 615-242-7760. Royal and I are just going to have a casual conversation because I got him in the hot seat, and the man is a preacher. He's God-fearing. He's a church child. So exhortation is not his problem. He might not listen. He know how to open and close. He might not know how to quit.
Come on.
Now. Is that how can we say that? He know how to open. He know how to close. He just might not know how to quit. So tell us a little bit about your church background, sir.
Okay.
Church for you looked like what, and now it looks like what, and now in COVID it looks like what.
Right.
So now we got three questions in one. COVID church for you looked like what growing up?
Church for me looked like what growing up. Okay, so I should first of all say that church for me in the beginning, in the genesis of my life, started at my grandmother's kitchen table over oatmeal, toast, sausage, eggs, and bacon. And that's where we had our first Sunday school lessons. That's where we had our first conversations about God. And so that is where I was shaped and I was molded at my grandmother's kitchen table. But then when I was younger, I got really involved at Cable Baptist Church
Cable.
314 South Winchell Street, Louisville, Kentucky.
Come on, God.
40204, where the Reverend Dr. Anthony Middleton is my pastor. If you have
shout out to him right now.
And so, yes, so I got involved at Cable. I got involved in the choir. I got involved on the deacon board. I got involved doing whatever it is, skits, plays, all of the things. Got involved doing those things. And then I accepted my call to ministry at the age of 12, and I preached my very first sermon when I was 13. And so
Wow.
I was licensed 2 years after that. And
At 15?
At 15, yes.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then I have continued that calling since then. And so church was exciting. Church was fun. Church was lively. And then church was all encompassing.
Okay.
You can go to church and you can get your word. You can get the gossip, the latest tea, what was going on the street.
That's
and
right.
You can get
That's
your
right.
ham sandwich at the church.
That's right.
Praise
Right
the
there
Lord.
at the church.
Right at the church. A turkey sandwich, in case you didn't want to have no pork. But anyway, that's what church looked like for me.
Okay.
And then I moved to Lexington.
Okay.
And so I became involved with the Consolidated Baptist Church there, where the pastor Richard Gaines is the shepherd of that part of the vineyard, and he is just a kind soul, a great pastor. And so I was privileged to be under his care while I was at UK.
Okay.
And then I moved to Nashville in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
And so church, I think, for everybody has changed. What we see in church, what we expect out of church has all shifted because of this pandemic. And so you see churches that did not even know how to work a smartphone have to develop
Ministry.
a ministry around technology. Come on, somebody. And so we have transformed,
Okay.
forcefully pushed the church, capital C, into a technological age. And so, like a lot of people, I'm sure that are listening, for a large part of this pandemic, my church was the Bedside Baptist Church via online. And so that has just been
Not fun.
not fun at all.
Not fun.
Not fun.
That's not fun. I'm like you, to be a church child.
Mhm.
I need to go to the church.
Yeah,
I need a vestibule.
absolutely.
Or now I think it's a narthex in the major churches, right?
My God.
Whatever they call
An
it.
edifice.
Edifice. I mean, I need a communion table.
Yes.
I need a pulpit.
Yes.
I need a baptistry.
Yes.
I need a piano organ. I need drum. Even if they're not sounding, I need the sight of that.
Right.
I
Right.
got comfortable finally preaching in my loft, in my living room, the back porch, but it still didn't give me church like
Yeah.
I'm used to having church.
Absolutely. And I think there's something that's worth saying about getting up, getting ready, and going to.
Yeah.
And I think that it does something intellectually, it does something spiritually. When you wake up and you know you got to press your shirts out, and you got to.
Listen at you press.
Yeah.
What you over there wearing press?
Don't try me now.
Now,
gotta
you too young for that.
gotta
You
press,
don't know.
you gotta press your shirts out, light starch. Since you're coming for me a little bit, light starch. And then you got to have your playlist ready
Right.
for the drive to church, because
Right.
you can't just be busting anything,
Right.
running up on the church.
Right.
And then you see everybody, you smile and things like that. That does something to you spiritually. It gets you in
Right.
the mindset of worship.
Right.
And I don't think that, at least for me, I couldn't just jump into that mindset fresh out of the bed.
Now, some people don't even get out of the bed.
My God. Yeah.
I can't dance. I can't shout. No, I can't. I have not perfected praise in my pajamas.
Listen.
Whoa!
So come on, that'll preach. That'll preach. But I think what I had to do for the sake of my own survival, I'm going to say it
Okay.
as strongly as that,
Okay.
is that I had to adapt and learn how to make an altar wherever I was.
Okay. I want to take that.
Because at the end of the day, there's some things that I had to let go of right then and there that I couldn't afford waiting until the next online service, or waiting
Right.
until the next time that I was able to get into an actual church. I had to make an altar right in that square,
I
right?
got
Whatever
you.
that square was.
I got you.
And so
I got you.
that, and I think that's where a lot of people are, honestly.
So you making altars wherever you are. I get that. I'm all for can I say, that Old Testament Christological evaluation. You know, we what is it? Typography. We listen at those theophanies, but I still need chair. I need a choir loft. I need a microphone. I need a fan.
Oh yeah.
I need an usher. I need a glove. It's something about just being back in the presence of the building where you connect. I'm not saying I don't connect with God at home, because I do. I have shouted, I have sung my best, I probably preached my best sermons in the confines of my home. But it's something about church.
There's something about the communal atmosphere.
I love it.
That you don't get when you're by yourself.
Come on.
There's something about knowing how big God is in a communal space.
Right.
Because you could be standing next to somebody and you don't know what they're going through.
That's right.
But you know two things for certain. Both, one, they're praying to the same God you're praying to. And two, you know that you have both survived 100% of the worst days of your life.
And still in that mode.
And that right there connects you.
Okay. The Cornelius, can we use that word?
Come on now.
Cornelius.
And so that connectedness, it does something in the atmosphere. It shifts the atmosphere.
You can text your mom or friend, family, tell them you on YouTube and Twitter right now if you want to. Okay. You can go live.
We're gonna do something.
You can do something. Hey, y'all, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, call in 615-242-7760. That's 615-242-7760. What did church look like for you growing up? He's answered that. What did church look like growing for him? Growing as he transitioned, and now what is church looking like now? He's answered all that one question in a trilogy. Yeah, it was a trilogy. Let's say that. He answered it as a child, transitioning through college, and now in COVID. Now, going forward, as he's getting his apparatuses together, if you want to set it up over here and whatever you want to do, I will give you that opportunity. Going forward, what's your plans? What does it look like in this particular COVID space? Did it change your trajectory as it relates to your expectation of church? Or is that too vague of a question?
My expectations of church, in what regard? Let me ask you that.
Well, the fact that you hadn't been able to just go shout.
Yeah, I think well,
just go to the building.
Yeah, I think that it definitely, what it did is shifted the routine of church.
Okay, shifted the routine.
And I think that in a real sense that it was a necessary shift of routine. Because I do believe emphatically that people had become, and myself included, have become very comfortable in the routine of church. We had mastered the religion of church. We knew what to wear, we knew what to say, we knew how to say amen on cue, we knew how to do all the things that made it a routine. We knew the groove of church. And COVID shifted the groove.
Wow.
And so what it did is that it forced everybody to experience God and experience church in a new way.
And I'm still embracing this experience.
Absolutely.
As leader.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be twofold, as sheep and shepherd. Because as shepherd, I have to experience this new. As sheep, I have to experience this new. One of the news that I've had to experience was the loss of physical people in the building. Like, I had to get comfortable going back to church with preaching too. It's just an empty church.
That's it.
Like,
that's it.
For some of us, and it took us a while, that's a psychological war. When you are used to looking, I'm going to just say, at a packed house every Sunday, and you walk into the same house, and it's nobody. It's not too many people there, or the people that are there, they are good people, you've gelled with them, but you're missing Aunt so-and-so, and Miss so-and-so, and Deacon so-and-so, and you're missing those babies' cries, and you're missing all of those tangibles that connect us. I had to learn how to preach without it. That's me being transparent.
Absolutely.
I had to learn how to look over there. Royal's not here. His granny's not here. His cousins is not here. The whole Todd family, they're not even here. It ain't gonna be here next week. It ain't gonna be here next week. Like they're just not. They can't come.
Right.
Like, and preaching is about connecting with God, connecting with the people, connecting with the preacher, connecting with the polity. Preaching has so many dynamics.
Absolutely.
And in the space of preaching, in this COVID empty building, a lot of those dynamics are missing.
Absolutely. And I think it's worth noting a couple of things based on what you said. So first of all, my limitations as far as ministerial practice stops at pastoral.
Okay.
So I don't have the experience to speak from a pastoral perspective.
I got you.
And so
Not yet.
So I want to make it clear my limitations on that perspective. I don't want to catch myself in a lie, right? But this is what I can say: COVID for a preacher and a person involved in preaching ministry in any capacity is completely different, especially when you have become accustomed to the tradition of particularly the Black church with the call and response nature of preaching.
Oh my God.
And not just call and response as far as it impacts the energy of the sanctuary, but call and response as it pertains to how effective and clear your message is and how well it is being received. Do people really understand what you're saying? You can get that from call and response.
Right.
You can't get that on the other side of the screen.
You can't.
You have to believe by faith that the message is made clear, as plain as it could be, and people are typing their questions in the comment section.
Right.
You have to believe by faith that people are getting what they need. But when you're in like you say, a packed house, you know by the look on their face if they got what they need or not. You know if you need to elaborate on the point just a little bit more or not. You know how to do those things. There's a rhythm and flow to that changes when the sanctuary is empty.
Oh my God.
And I think that there is, as you say, a spiritual and psychological warfare happening.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even now.
Yes.
Like even getting people to the place where you high five your neighbor and we can't touch. You know what I mean?
Don't touch nobody.
You and I we went in Sunday, so listen, the Lord was kind. That's all I'm gonna say. But it took a while, and it's still taking.
Absolutely.
It's still taking, and now, like we're pushed, and I will say this: we're pushed now to the early service. So now in Ephesians, we will have an 8:30 service. We had it before, but now, in this midst of this first round, but now we are pushed to do it again, and now I have to, preach twice for the Sunday school or new members class orientation in between that, and it's like that demand increased, which was a good thing. How shall they hear without a preacher? How shall they preach without except he be sent? So I'm grateful for that. But getting to a place of being comfortable in this particular COVID space, I'm still getting there.
I think one of the things that is underestimated maybe from the average church goer is the therapeutic nature of preaching for the preacher.
Say that again.
I think one of the things that may be missed from the average church goer is the therapeutic nature of preaching for the preacher. Preaching is a spiritual, emotional, intellectual exercise happening at the intersection of social justice and theological formation. And one of the things that the preacher must do is tap in to intellect. You have to tap into what you've studied. You have to tap in to your spirit, because you can't preach without the Spirit of God. And you have to tap into the emotional piece, because that emotional piece is what gets you that connectedness to people. You can empathize, you can sympathize with what people are going through, and people can feel that with your preaching. And so that in of itself, preaching becomes therapeutic. For the preacher, because you can express in sermonic exercise what you may have trouble expressing with your average vocabulary or with your average lexicon. You can talk through maybe things that you're dealing with at your own house in the preaching moment and it will help. It will mend people to God, but it'll also mend you to people, and it'll mend you to God all at the same time. That's just how good God is.
Right. That's not in a textbook.
No, that's not. That's
grace.
You gotta know.
Yeah, that's just grace right there.
Absolutely.
When what you say is a theological and what you say
So
preaching happens. Listen to this boy. This boy is saying dropping some nuggets up in here today.
No,
Preaching is a what now?
Preaching is a theological exercise, right? But there's an intersection of the intellect, of the spirit, and of the emotion. So it's intellectual, it's spiritual, and it's emotional. It's a theological exercise.
I'm putting it on here, Doc.
That it happens at the intersection of theological formation and radical justice and social justice. It happens because you cannot. Well, you can, but you shouldn't. You should not limit the effectiveness of the church within the edifice itself, within the four walls of the church. So a church without a community is an empty building.
That's right.
No matter how many people are in it.
Right. You can have thousands and no community.
Absolutely.
You can have thousands and no community.
And so exactly. And so you have to make sure that social justice piece, regardless of all of the demographics represented therein, that piece is what connects you to the community, because you have to tap into what the needs of the community are so that you can preach effectively about it.
Listen,
and
y'all.
Theological formation, because you want to preach God and Him crucified.
Oh, raise your voice, brother.
You got to make sure you do that.
You Baptist.
You got to.
He died.
He did die.
He died.
The old church, didn't he die?
He died. But early.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You got to do the whole thing.
But early. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now, let's not so much devil advocate. Louisville versus Nashville. I know you only experiencing Nashville through COVID. What do you like about the Nashville church culture so far?
So one of the things that I have had the opportunity and privilege of doing is having opportunities to actually talk to pastors and preachers during COVID.
In both places?
Well, not necessarily in both places, but in Nashville particularly, because I was unfamiliar with the church scene when I got here.
Right.
And so with COVID, unfortunately, but fortunately, schedules have shifted.
Right.
And so people are approachable
and accessible
because they have to be.
Right.
But also their schedules are just as packed, but it's not rooted in a particular location. Right. And so I've been able to connect with a number of pastors and preachers in the Nashville area just to understand how the church scene works and how pastors interact with each other. And so, and pastors from a variety of backgrounds. And so Sunday I connected with your church, and the Primitive Baptist denomination. That was my first time experiencing that. Bishop Joseph Walker came and did a meditation for my cohort at BDS, and so I got to experience conversation with him at the Mount Zion Church. That's of course the background that I'm used to, so I'm familiar just a little bit more. But another individual from my cohort, he and his wife are planting a church.
Wow.
So getting connected with them, the Capacity Church, and they're about to launch, and so getting connected with them, building with them, that all has been interesting because without COVID, I wouldn't have been able to experience all of these things. And so I have to thank God for the edifying nature of new experiences. And so it's been good. It's been good. It hasn't been shoe stomping, leg pain hurting from church because you've been dancing so long. But it is a new experience that I still find grace in, I still find glory in, and I still find God in.
Wow. Grace, God, and glory. Did y'all hear that boy? Let it write that fast. He said grace, God, and glory. That's a preacher, I tell you. He got some preach in him, Royal Todd. Grace, God, and glory. I said, put him in his key. I thought he was just ease up a little bit. Grace, God, and glory. Yes.
That's good.
Let me make this note. I think I'm getting harassed. Saturday, the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church will be hosting a career fair for our teen ministry. April 17, 2021 at 11 p.m. at the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church. We have some speakers coming. We will have it on social media. So go to the Ephesian page on Saturday, April 17, 2021 for the career fair. We're going to make sure Mr. Orlando Boyd is going to be there, Brother Ron Jasmine, Lawrence Winters, and we got some other individuals coming. So we're grateful for that. While we're in this space, let me pay some bills. This show is brought to you by Walker's Cafe and Grill, 109 Ewan Drive from 12 to 5. This show is brought to you by the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church, the E, and Ephesian, and the E, y'all. This show is brought to you by Forever Zion, www.foreverzion.com. Paparazzi jewelry for your boo, your bae, your significant, your subordinate, your superior, your sister, your cousin, your boo, your bae, anybody. Go to www.foreverzion.com. This show is brought to you by Trifold Outreach Ministry. That's Trifold Outreach Ministry, 49 Dry Creek Road, Goodlettsville, Tennessee. That meets on the second and fourth Sunday at 7 p.m. And in this COVID space, they are meeting by Zoom. We are grateful for our wonderful sponsors. And today, we would not be in such a ecstasy and blissful expression had it not been for Dr. One of these days, Royal Todd in the building, y'all. I mean, he's talking about how he's connected with church planters. He's connected with mega church. He's connected with medium church. He's connected with God's church. It's grace, God, and glory. He's alliterated. He's educated. Yes, he's encouraged conversation today. And he's not done because he has to stay on for another 30 minutes. And he has to get into this word now. So, we're gonna work him today, y'all. And one of these days, he'll be preaching at Ephesians soon, and very soon, and very, very, very soon. Very, very, very soon. My brother Ron Jasmine is in the studio. We almost out of time, y'all, but we not out of talk. Ron, that's Royal, that's Ron. He's from Louisville, Kentucky, Ron. Yes, he goes to Vanderbilt Divinity. He's over there being stretched, but not shaped. In the sense of, we Vanderbilt, we love it, but Vanderbilt not affiliated with church and ecclesia like it used to be. That's all I'm going to say. I love it. I love the brethren. I said in the words of Paul, Mars Hill. That Luke writes about Mars Hill, so we're grateful for theological education, which gives me about 20 seconds. Talk to me about we got a little time. We just go into the next show. What did you expect coming to Vanderbilt, and what are you getting?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question to pose.
Yeah.
So, what I expected was, I really didn't have much expectations. Okay. I'm first generation college student, first generation master's program level for my family, so I didn't know what to expect, right? Uh-huh. And so I definitely knew that there was a difference between going to a divinity school and a seminary, though.
Right.
And I think that people need to understand that difference, right? And so divinity school is more rooted in academia.
Right.
Seminary is going to be rooted in church.
Right, more church.
And so that's what I knew going in.
I got you.
And what I've gotten is that,
gotcha.
Right? And so I'll tell anybody that, I go to Vanderbilt not for theological formation, but vocational transformation and edification. And so it's important, not just for VDS, but for any seminarian. Right. It's important to know God for yourself before you go to seminary.
Right.
Because what you need and what you're going to do is you're going to be shaped, you're going to be prodded, you're going to be poked theologically. And what you don't know is going to burn you.
Gotcha. Listen, y'all heard it here first on the YAC The Yolanda and Cornelius show. Royal Todd has set us ablaze. We are grateful for what he has brought to us. Thank you for tuning into the YAC The Yolanda and Cornelius show. Good. Take a break, Rapper. Good job, boy.
Hey, Cornelius, so you gonna be on yours? Are you gonna stop and start it on yours?
What's that? Well, just keep it going.
Okay, but I'm going to chair it from you because one of my tripods messed up, so I'm gonna just record.
Let me get